Ochen, taking a look at the cost of chaos and the second leg of devolution in the country. And in studio for this conversation is Wasim Gishu, Deputy Governor Daniel Chemno. Many thanks for joining us on KTN News Center. Also joining us live from Kisumu is the Kisumu Deputy Governor, Dr. Matthews Ochieng. We'll be joining him in just a moment. But let's begin with you, Mr. Daniel Chemno. We've just seen a report there by my colleague Murimi Mwangi detailing the expected situation in President Uhuru's second term. The opposition has already made it clear that they will not recognize neither his legitimacy or that of the government that he forms thereafter. And it is a chaotic situation for the country because many expected that after the Supreme Court's decision that we would see some sanity in the country. What would you say is the cost of the situation in the country as is in the running of things?
I want to say that one important thing is that the business environment is being made difficult by threats to business people that's being done by opposition followers. And it's not for the good of business. Remember that each county wants to attract investors. And by attracting investors, you must give an environment where people can do their things without their businesses being interrupted. And, so by letting your followers go to the streets, you endanger investments. And it will be very difficult to call for a foreign investor to come in when the local investors are not comfortable. So we want to urge politicians, especially those who have been leading demonstrations, that investment generates employment. And if you want your followers to get employment, then you must create a conducive environment for people to invest, not for businesses to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm. And of course, even as the impact on the business community, the impact on the economy, what about the impact on Parliament's legislative agenda? Because again, with that split right down the middle within Parliament, with opposition members of Parliament and Jubilee members of Parliament, how is that likely to affect the running of things?
I think Jubilee cannot, on their own, they may not be able to amend the Constitution, but they can be able to pass necessary legislations that are there because of their numbers. And out of this, I want to say that Jubilee can still manage to run affairs of the country. But what we need from the opposition is that they should accept the rule of the Supreme Court. They went to court because they had an issue about the election of President Uhuru Kenyatta. The court gave its verdict. Elections were held on 26th of October. If they had any misgiving about the election, the Supreme Court could have given conditions to be fulfilled. But remember, the Supreme Court simply told the IEBC, go and hold fresh elections on 26th without any conditions. So I do believe that the elections were held as per the ruling that was done on 1st September.
All right. Let's speak to Dr. Matthews Ochieng, Kisumu Deputy Governor, now joining us live from Kisumu. You've been listening to our conversation. Your thoughts? Mr. Daniel Chemno here seems to think Jubilee can still run the Parliament's legislative agenda based on their numbers. But we want to see, a sign of some sort of reconciliation, some sort of a middle ground between these two political divides. What are your thoughts on how this can be remedied?
First of all, a very good morning to you, Betty, and of course my counterpart from the county of Uasin Gishu. We know that we went to the elections on 8th of August 2017. We also know, all of us for that matter, who won in those elections. Now we also know that the election was stolen, and the Supreme Court directed that we go back to the election so that the IEBC can carry out credible elections. Now, there are so many changes that were meant to be made in the IEBC. as was at that time constituted. Now, those changes were not done. So the NASA coalition were not party to the elections that were carried out on 26th of October this year, 2017. So as such, we do not recognize the presidency of one Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Said Dr. Ocheng, we've witnessed chaos in the country recently with different demonstrations, different rallies being put up by the opposition. What, in your assessment, is the cost of this chaos on the country as a whole?
First of all, we have to know that the chaos, so to speak, are as a result of the stolen election. The other thing that I want to say is that we really do not have to witness the chaos that we are seeing. I want to give you an example. When the NASA coalition leader came from the foreign trip and had wanted to address his supporters, the state machinery decided to stop him from freely mixing with his supporters. It took us more than 6 hours to get from the airport to the city center, basically locking down Nairobi in all entirety, with all the businesses being affected. Now, that cannot be a problem of the opposition. That cannot be a problem of the NASA coalition party leader. That can only be a problem with the people who had wanted to prevent him from addressing his supporters in a peaceful manner.
Just a moment.